everyone, welcome back to my vlog. I'm Robin, or Hobbits Reading List, and this week we are starting what may be the most ambitious thing that I'm doing. That makes it sound really intense. I just want to read every day. That's it. That's the most ambitious thing I'm doing all year. No, but seriously, it kind of is. Especially the last 2 months, October and November, my reading has just tanked. And I know if you've been actually watching my vlogs, I'm very sorry because you hear me say that every week. But I've decided that I am reading every day this month because I really want to get caught up on my reading goal. And this is kind of the way to do it. With that being said, I have already finished a book. So maybe it's a good plan. So today is the 3rd, and on the 1st, I finished reading 8 Very Bad Nights and The Rat Picker King, which was in last week's vlog. Yesterday, I had a pretty light day at work, not a lot of meetings, had some downtime. If you watched last week's vlog, you will know that I got stuck in a snowbank Monday night. Front of my car is, part of it's missing. Not looking great. It is currently being looked at by, the Gerber Coalition people, and based off of the estimate that they're giving and how old my car is. Like, it's not super old. I think it's a 2018. But I got in 2020. But also, because I commute to Illinois, like, I drive a lot. Based off of how old the car is, the mileage, which is closer to 200,000 miles than not, and the damage, we're kind of assuming that the insurance is just going to total my car. So, all that to say is, yesterday during some of my downtime, I had to go to the rental car place. Thankfully, our insurance is covering the cost of a rental car, and get it, they did not have the compact SUV that Chris wanted me to have. Instead, I have a minivan, which is so unnecessary. Like, I have nothing against minivans. I think they're great. My grandma drove a minivan for a really long time, but like, I don't have a need for it. At most, there are only ever 4 people in my car, and that's very rare that happens. I don't need a van. But that's what I have for the time being. But while I was waiting at Enterprise, because there is like this guy who is being helped, who is chatterbox, I just sat, and instead of continuing to like scroll on Facebook or Instagram or something, I opened up Kindle app, and I had One Night, Two Holidays by Brady, which is a novella that I got maybe a month ago, sort of for, the holiday season. And I started reading a little bit while I was waiting. And then when I got home later that night, I continued reading because I really liked it. So One Night, Two Holidays is following this guy, Jack. He is new to Chicago-ish. He's a resident in pediatrics, and he's feeling really burned out and has some imposter syndrome, and all he wants is to go home for Christmas and spend time with his family, even if it's only for 4 days. However, it's Chicago in the winter, and it's unpredictable, and there's a snowstorm, like a really bad one, that grounds all flights, and so he can't go home. And he ends up meeting one of his neighbors who he's noticed before but has never spoken to, and her name is Nessa, and they have some banter, and then they, go into their apartments, and they're trying to figure out, like, oh, like, can I talk to this person again? Because they both have noticed each other. There's been some attraction, but they've never spoken. And then the power goes out because of the snowstorm, which does happen. It does happen. So he's like, well, I should go check on her. And also, I have nothing in my apartment. And so he goes, and they agree to, like, stay together because they're kind of the only 2 people in their apartment building. And they end up spending the night together. Like, not sexually, but, you know, just being together because Nessa is way more prepared. And it's very cute because they kind of do sort of like a spin on some of the Christmas traditions that Jack is missing out on. And then they also end up doing some of the Hanukkah traditions that Nessa is missing out on. So it's very cute. And while they're doing this, they're getting to know one another, and, you know, their feelings are deepening. And it's actually, like, for being about, like, 80 pages, it does a lot. Like, and not like, to an unrealistic amount, but, like, it addresses their insecurities and their, like, personalities that have, you know, contributed to relationships not working in the past. It addresses that while also building the relationship, while also having this, like, cozy holiday feeling. Like, it does all of these things, and it does it very well. So this is the second thing by Ali Brady that I've read, which I know Ali Brady is actually two people writing together. But I think it was just really well done. So I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4.5 stars, just because I felt like there were some parts that involved other characters that, like, I know they weren't the focus, but they really just were not developed at all. But I was like, but they're not the focus, so, and I really enjoyed it. So yeah, so I gave it 4.5 stars. So yeah, I was like, yay, that's great. And then today, while I'm driving my new minivan to work, I'm going to start listening to Tips for the Hangman, one of them. And then I'm also bringing with me Winging It With You to read if I have some downtime today. So when I said that I am planning to read every day, that is true. I would like to read physically every day, either a physical book or a Kindle book, but I also recognize there are just some days where that might not happen. I will try, but some days it just might just be audiobook, and that's fine. So far so good. And I will check in with you tomorrow about what I was able to read today. Okay, hopefully it's not too dark. Weirdly, the light on my half of this room, which is very long, has gone out. And one, I can't reach the lighting fixture, and two, it's very weird old one, so Chris has to do it. So I'm just using the ring light, so hopefully it's not too dark, but I'll try to be closer. No, that looks creepy. I'll be here. I already talked about the book that I finished. Okay. I had to remember, like, what have I talked about? I started listening to A Tip for the Hangman, which follows Kit Marlowe. I believe it's like 1585, I think. He's at Cambridge, and he is approached to be a spy for the Queen and spy on Mary Stuart, the Queen of Scots, who is, at that time in this book, currently in exile in Yorkshire, I believe. So he goes and does that. And then the plot of the actual book, I think, follows that. And then, like, maybe like a decade later or so, he's approached to spy once again, you know, after he's become a successful playwright and he sort of have, like, his life together. He's approached to spy again, and, you know, he becomes very aware of all the things he risks losing by being a spy, including, you know, his reputation as a playwright and a poet, as well as the man he loves. And so it follows, I think, both of these instances of spying. But currently, having just started it, I'm about 16% through, and he has done his, like, spy training, and he's gone to Yorkshire to serve as a footman for Mary Stuart. What I appreciate so far is that it's not like Kit shows up and then, like, the next day he gets intel. It does not do that, which I appreciate because that's not realistic. It talks about, like, him going to Yorkshire and how hard it is to do, like, the manual labor of, like, a footman, because that's not what he was trained to do. And it has some time jumps, but, like, it takes like 6 weeks for anything remotely interesting to happen. So I appreciate that because it feels more real. But right now we're just getting to know Kit. So, I mean, I like it so far. I haven't been sleeping well, so it did make me a little sleepy yesterday. But I think that's my fault, not the books. I will say, though, it's a little hard to shift to a new audiobook when my brain is still on the Brad Picker King that I finished earlier this week in last week's vlog. So there's that. Let me see. I didn't get a chance to read anything yesterday, and I have some meetings tonight. So what I'm probably gonna do after my meetings, make dinner, and then I'll probably just sit down with a book. I'm not sure which one I want. I can either read Winging It With You, which is on my TBR, or I got a novella by Brady, who wrote the novella that I read earlier in the week, One Night, Two Holidays. They have another one where it's like Merry Little Bookshop, I think. And so I got that, and I think I might start reading that tonight, only because tomorrow night is my work's like holiday spa night. We're a kind of a small company, so we have a spa night instead of a holiday party. But I know that I will have like some waiting around time, and I think it'll just be easier. And I don't know if people will be waiting with me or if I'll be alone, because sometimes that happens. And I think it'll be easier to just like pull out my phone or pull out my Kindle than it would be to pull out a book. So I think that's what I'll do. I think tonight I'll start Merry Little Bookshop, and I'll start Winging It With You probably this weekend. So that's the plan. So I'm going to get ready for my meetings, I guess. And I will check in either tomorrow or the next day about what I read. So I've continued listening to A Tip for the Hangman. I'm a little interested in where it's going, because in the synopsis it says, Kit goes to spy on Mary Stuart, and then he's done with that, and then he's asked to go spy on her again. And it made it seem like that was the whole story. And maybe it will be. Maybe it will just be, these two instances, and the second time is the rest of the book. Is much longer. That may be the case. But I am curious if it's going to follow Kit through the rest of his life. I did look up, the real Kit Marlowe, and he died when he was 29. And I think when the story is happening right now, he would be math. He would be 21, yeah. So I could see that happening. I don't know. I'm 39% through, so I definitely won't finish it this week, but probably Wednesday or so. And I'm interested. I'm intrigued. I want to see where this is going. So yeah, that's about all I can say about that. Soon we'll get past, what is summarized in the summary. I did enjoy, because on the summary it mentions like the man he loves, and the real Kit Marlowe was suspected of being homosexual in some way. So that has happened. He's, gotten together with his best friend at Cambridge, although now Kit is off spying, and that's gonna have an impact on their relationship, which is gonna make me sad. So yeah, we'll see where that goes. And then Thursday night, I started reading Merry Little Bookshop, which I think I had mentioned I was going to do. And it is about this woman named Shira who lives in Chicago and works for this like company that does like pop-up bookstores, but her boss is like asked to do a favor for someone he went to like business school with and have a like pop-up bookstore in this like sort of small town in Texas. And her boss is kind of a douche and is like, "Oh, well, you're Jewish, you don't celebrate Christmas, so you can go open the bookstore." Not recognizing that like, okay, yeah, she doesn't celebrate Christmas, but like Hanukkah is typically kind of close to it. And so she's in Texas for the entire month of December, which means she's away from her friends for Hanukkah. So she's understandably pretty sad. She has a really close group of girlfriends in Chicago. And I really like that friendship aspect. But so she goes to this small town, she opens a bookstore, and she meets this guy named Johnny, who is actually the like organizer of this like Christmas market that the bookstore is part of. And there's sort of an instant attraction, and they start getting to know each other. And Johnny sort of has like a bad reputation in town from when he was a teenager, and he left, after he graduated and went to business school and worked at startups, and he's actually like pretty well off. But he came back to this, where he grew up because his dad got injured and needed someone to organize the market. So, but I like how the relationship is developing. I think that Allie Brady does a really good job of building the relationship and also sort of the side characters in such a short space. Like this is definitely this is definitely longer than Two Holidays One Night. Say it's like a little over double the length. So I'm not done yet, but I'm having a good time. I think it's really well done, and I want to continue reading more of Allie Brady because this is the third thing I'm reading by them, and I'm enjoying it. So yeah, and I'm at a part where Shira has she started when she met Johnny. She gave him her like Starbucks name because Shira is not like super common or like in certain areas. And so to just make things easier, not have to like spell it out or explain anything when she's, at like a restaurant where she has to give names, she says Sarah. And so she initially told Johnny her name was Sarah because she didn't think she'd ever see him again. And then she did. And it takes her a while to be like, yeah, that's not my name. I really appreciate how that's done because I know plenty of other Jewish people who do have a more like Americanized name for those situations. So I appreciated that because I hadn't seen that actually talked about in a book before. But I'm hoping I can read more of it today. I read like a little bit more last night. Thursday I got to, I want to say like 26%. And then I read like a little bit more last night because we were at my work's like holiday event, which is us going to a spa. And so I was reading during my pedicure because I don't I don't like talking during like pedicures or massages or whatever. Like I'm just there to relax. And so I don't really like talking. And the first two people, because I got a scalp massage and then a facial, first two people picked up on that, didn't like try to engage me in conversation really. The person who did my pedicure, and part of it was just because like I had to explain like, hey, I have a sprained ankle, like just move a little gingerly there. And so we got to talking, and she ended up like telling me that she had sprained her ankle a couple years ago and like it never healed and she had to stop running. And I was like, cool, that's like my biggest fear. I don't want to be in this conversation anymore. because I'm like, that's like my biggest fear right now is that my ankle won't heal. I won't be able to resume running. I like running was the one like form of physical activity that I was able to actually stick with for like a really long time. And by really long time, I mean like 4.5 months. And I've just never, I've been trying to, get healthier for several years now. And that was like the only thing that I was like, okay, I can do this. And I was motivated, and now I can't run. And so my big fear is that I won't be able to run again. And so I was like, I need to not be in this conversation anymore. And so I just like pulled out my Kindle and I just started reading. I felt so rude, but I was like, I can't be in this conversation. This is not relaxing. So yeah, so I read a little bit more. I don't think I read much. I don't even know. I think maybe I read like 2 or 3 chapters. It wasn't much. So, but yeah, I am gonna kind of do a little bit of running around this afternoon. I mean, not literally. So I'm hobbling around this afternoon. But once I get back home, well, Chris wants to do some online like car shopping, because we're probably gonna go to some dealerships on Monday to look at getting me a new car, because my car was officially totaled by insurance. And also Monday we have to go to the shop where my car is, and empty it because of all the things that I have. So all that to say, I will try to read more today in between all the things I'm doing and looking at cars. Although we did find a car last night that I actually really liked, except that it doesn't have like a stick shifter. It has like a dial. That's like the one thing that bothered me. But I really liked that car. But Chris wants to look at others because we need options. so yeah, so there's that. But I will check in hopefully tomorrow with an update on Merry Little Bookshop. I don't even remember last time I filmed. I have continued reading every day though. So, yay for me. I think I filmed Saturday. Yeah, let's go with that. So, okay. I finished reading, my cat is very needy. I finished reading Merry Little Bookshop. Come here, Ben. Oh, how about that? How about that? I finished reading Merry Little Bookshop, and I really enjoyed it. I do feel like since this week I read 2 Brady novellas that were like holiday novellas, I do feel like they obviously focus on the romance a lot, which like I don't have an issue with. The other characters are kind of one-dimensional, but not in a way that super bothers me. Because it's a novella, you're trying to pack like a whole romance into it. So like I get it. I'm not like annoyed by it or anything, but it is something that I noticed. So, hi. He just wanted attention so bad. And I figured this would be more productive than letting him just stand next to me just yelling at me. So I want to say I read most of Merry Little Bookshop on Saturday because we went over to our friend's house so that Chris could watch college football with him. So I just read. And then I finished it when I was at work on Sunday because Sunday was my birthday. And there wasn't a lot that made it like my birthday. I had to go to work because I'm taking time off at the end of the month, so it was just too close together. So I had a pretty busy day at work, and then I had my commute. And then Chris's work had their like family skate night thing. So we went to that for about an hour. So like my like birthday celebration like didn't start until like 7:30. Which like I knew that was gonna happen, and so I'm not too bothered by it. I was a little annoyed. All that to say, when I was at work Sunday, I was trying to do things that would make me happy and sort of, you know, have my own like solo celebration. So when I had a free moment, I was continuing to read Merry Little Bookshop, and I think I only had like 30 pages left. So finished it when I was at work. I really enjoyed it. I liked how the plot and the relationship developed. I ended up giving it 4 stars, which is mainly just because, like, I guess I have an issue with it being called a novella when it was like 230 pages. So there's that. That's not a novella. That might as well have been a novel. And I think if it was a novel, they could have fleshed out the other characters a little bit more so they weren't so one-dimensional. But, oh, you slip. But yeah, no, I still really enjoyed it. I think it was a really good choice for me. And yeah, I think 4 stars is pretty good. So there's that. And then I also continued listening to A Tit for the Hangman. I did not finish it this week. I will definitely finish it next week. But it's interesting because I had talked about like being a little confused about the like synopsis. So I think what the synopsis meant of like these 2 times where Kit is being a spy is that both instances where he went to spy on Mary Stuart, that's one time. That's the author is counting that as one period, even though he went back twice. Because now it's like 5 years later, I believe, and he has been given another assignment, which makes sense with the synopsis, because it talks about how, like, after time that he had become a successful playwright and he had things going for him, and, you know, he was with the man that he loved, and now all that is in jeopardy because he has to spy again. So that makes sense. Are you done? No, you're just, okay. Okay, now he's doing down. He like shifted to one leg and then just like stood there. So I am a little worried because I think I mentioned that I had looked up, you know, the real Kit on Wikipedia. And so now I know his timeline a little bit. So now I'm like, oh, okay, so it is going, you know, this second period is touched on in his Wikipedia. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to spoil the book. So yeah, it'll be interesting. I should finish it next week. I'm liking it. You know, I think my mind is still in the Swordcatcher series, so it's making it a little bit difficult, but I think that this is a good sort of bridge, because obviously the Swordcatcher series was more, if we're putting it in a time period, like more medieval, and so this is a good bridge, as opposed to like if I had listened to like a contemporary romance or something, that would have been a hard shift. So this works, but my brain hasn't quite left Swordcatcher yet. But I am enjoying A Tit for the Hangman, and I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I think that's about it. Yeah. So overall, like, I think I did pretty well this week. I did read every day. I read, I want to say like 6 out of 7 days I read physically. I think, I don't know if that's right. Most of the days I read physically, which is what I really wanted. So I feel good about that. I'm hoping I can keep it up. And yeah, I will wrap up this vlog and start the next one. But thank you so much for watching. Leave me a comment, like the video, subscribe, click the notification bell, and I will talk to you in the next video.